Congratulations, you've reached your goal. You're in early retirement and you're ready to step off into the sunset and go do those things that you want to do. But wait, there's hidden costs to early retirement. And there are things in early retirement, financial challenges that would be hard to get out of. So over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to step through 10 hidden costs to early retirement and some ways to mitigate what those things are. This is a lot of information, but it's good information. Just stay tuned and until the end. Guarantee that you'll get something out of what is said, ways to mitigate the cost, those hidden costs in retirement. The biggest thing as we step into early retirement concern the healthcare costs. It's costly to try to carry your current medical insurance plan with your current providers into retirement. Sometimes that's really difficult. Many who step into early retirement before the age of 65, that is before reaching care age of 65, you're often hit with that hidden cost of healthcare insurance. COBRA insurance enables a person to carry their current existing policy from their employer into their retirement and allows the individuals to keep their current providers, but it comes at a cost. It's higher. For example, you may be paying the overall cost for your insurance, maybe $700, but your employer is paying $500 of that $700 while you're employed. But when you step into retirement, not only are you on the hook for the entire cost of that insurance policy, which would be $700, you're also hit with a service fee that your company can charge you to carry your insurance into retirement. So to avoid those, these are ways to mitigate your health insurance. What you can do as a way of mitigating is to purchase a high deductible healthcare plan. It is not as costly as COBRA. You may have a high deductible, but it is much cheaper than possibly paying that full cost of your insurance policy from your employer into retirement. And take full advantage of your health savings account allows you to use pre-tax dollars to pay for the cost of medical care. So taking advantage of a high deductible hair care plan and taking full advantage of the healthcare savings account. Also, a way of mitigating the cost of the healthcare is taking full advantage of the healthcare marketplace and looking for a subsidized healthcare plan that can cover you and your family members as you step into early retirement. So there's two ways. Again, those two ways: purchase a high deductible healthcare plan and take full advantage of the health savings account, and also utilize the insurance marketplace and look for subsidies to try to mitigate that cost of healthcare. Healthcare is one of those things where we never know how long our health is going to stand up, and what you don't want to have happen to you is to be hit with a very expensive healthcare bill that will wipe out all of the funds, all of the savings that you've been so diligently saving all of these years, and now you're looking for funds to support this early retirement. The next thing is overspending in the honeymoon phase of retirement. I am now in early retirement. I did the right things. I diligently saved. I made sure that I was taking advantage of all of my 401k benefits for my organization. And now I was able to retire before the age of 62 or before the age of 65. And now I am ready to go. In the early stages of retirement, these are sometimes called the go-go years. You have your health and you have amount of funds that you're willing to spend, and you start going out there and buying things. And before you know it, you may create some purchases or it may exhaust the amount of money that you have saved up. So when you're in your early retirement and you're stepping into this honeymoon phase, you need to take into account lifestyle creep. Create a lifestyle creep budget. There are things that you have the funds now to take advantage of. You're able to do those things. It's just budget those things out. Be proactive in planning for the now and the future. You don't want to overspend now and be less likely to have the funds that you need in the future. So you plan for the future. If there's a big trip that you want to go on, make sure it's planned and thought out, researched, and taking advantage of the health and taking advantage of funds. Go do what you need to do, but be mindful and be frugal in how you step in. Also, there's nothing wrong with consulting a financial advisor. Stress test some of those decisions that you want to make in this early stage of retirement. You want to buy this grand item, or you want to go on this grand vacation to another country. Stress test. Talk to a financial advisor and see what those things are compared to your plan for your retirement in the out years. Taking the advice of a financial advisor is always a good thing, and it will benefit you. Early retirement penalties is also a hidden cost. If you're not yet 59 and a half and you have a large sum in your 401k, you want to touch it, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you not only taxes, but a penalty for 59 and a half. Or if you're in a job and you're over 55 years old, you leverage the rule of 55 to access your 401k or your TSP or similar accounts, the funds that are in those accounts. Leverage the rule of 55. If you leave your job for many reasons after you turn 55 in that calendar year, you can have penalty-free withdrawals from your 401k or 403b or similar type accounts. This provides you a key window of access to your funds. Another way of minimizing the hit, the Roth is a great tool because the funds can be withdrawn at any time without penalty. And you can transfer funds over from 401k over to a Roth and withdraw those funds 5 years later. So if you're in early retirement, this may be a way of transitioning your funds over and taking advantage of the growth and not paying taxes on that growth 5 years later. But if you happen to be in a position where you have already contributed to a Roth, this is the time to do it. Withdraw those funds from your Roth and avoid the hidden fee of retiring earlier than 59 and a half and having to pay those additional fees. The other one is Social Security. Social Security is often one of those things that is the largest portion of a person's retirement income. So you want to make sure you maximize that. So if you are able to delay when you take Social Security, that could benefit you and you could have a higher income later in your years. If you can take it anytime later than age 62, and also taking advantage of the spousal benefit of Social Security. Sometimes the spouse may not have as high of a Social Security income, and it may be beneficial for the spouse to take the Social Security benefit, which is higher, or having the spouse take that while the spouse that has the higher income continue to work. Or now, if you go into retirement with a static income strategy to withdraw the money that you have accumulated, you could be eaten away or could be impacted heavily by inflation. Inflation increases every year. Your buying power of your funds this year is not going to be the same 10 years later. So one of the things that you can do to minimize or combat inflation is to maintain a more aggressive type of investment strategy. Folks love to be in a position to take advantage of our investments. And at this point, when we're in retirement, we move our funds into less risky investments. But what we end up doing is we lessen our chance to take advantage of the windfalls when the market is high. And when the market is low, you're losing. You're more concerned about the losing, but you still need to have a somewhat aggressive stance in how you're investing your funds so that you can mitigate inflation eating away. The other thing is to look at possible additional income streams. Have another way of having income come in. You could start a business or a side hustle, something to have yet another stream of income come in to mitigate for inflation creep. Inflation is going to be there. Inflation is going to eat away at the dollar. And if you're not mindful of it and you don't prepare for it, what you could end up doing is hurting yourself in retirement and thinking that you have planned properly. And because you planned properly and you're getting that constant amount that is not taking the inflation into consideration, your dollar in your mouth is worth less and less throughout the years. I guess this falls into the category of cost. It's the psychological cost of early retirement. You're no longer in your work environment with your friends or your coworkers, or the people that are still working may have less time for you and engage in other things that you're not a part of because you're not in that work cycle. So it's called the psychological cost of early retirement. So you have to mitigate for those things. Set up a plan. Be mindful of developing a routine of who you are and knowing exactly who you are outside of your work, being engaged in your community, taking on different things to keep you engaged, different hobbies, writing a book, and really getting into those things that you had to avoid while you were working. Get into those things so that your life is still fulfilled and you do not have a cost. Because what happens is if you feel a loss of social connection, this cost of early retirement, a loss of social connection, those things could induce stress, and you could end up having mental health and also physical health impacts because of that. So take those things into consideration. It's not a financial cost, but I consider it a psychological cost of early retirement that you have to mitigate for. Taxes. Taxes are always there. One of the things that you're able to do in your retirement is try to find a place that's tax favorable for you. Find a state that has no income tax or has a favorable condition for if you're retired from the military, like I am. Military retirees, your income is not taxed. Or if you have a pension or you have pensions that are coming in from federal government or any type of pension, those types of benefits are not taxed financially in that state. So you can look for a state or location that's tax favorable for you and takes advantage of those things. And also when it comes to your 401k, if you have a Roth and you inside of your 401k and you have pre-tax dollars, withdraw the after-tax dollars, the Roth, in advance, and then the 401k pre-tax dollars, draw those at a later time when your income is in a more favorable condition. If there's less that's taxed federally or less that's taxed in the state that you're in, you could have a win-win situation by waiting until later to withdraw those funds from your 401k. Also, take advantage of rolling funds over from pre-tax to Roth and withdrawing it 5 years later. If you're early in your early retirement and you don't want to have those costs hit you at that 20% or whatever your tax rate is in the latter years when you really need to withdraw those funds, take portions of that and roll them over into a non-tax savings of the Roth. And it would benefit you in the future. Long-term care costs is another hidden cost. Medicare does not cover long-term care, such as nursing homes or in-home care. Medicare doesn't cover those things. And the cost of long-term care is expensive and can quickly deplete any retirement nest egg that you may have. So consider buying long-term care insurance in the early years. If you're in early retirement and you're in your 50s, you're in your late 40s, the long-term care insurance costs are much lower. In your 60s, much lower than it would be in your 70s. So it may be expensive at this time. Maybe you may look at it and say, hey, that's expensive. But paying in and locking in that cost in your early years, in these go-go years, may be the best thing for you before any type of health impact hits. Because again, having a health impact can really deplete your nest egg and you have nothing. Once your health returns and you're able to move around and really start living because of that health incident, all of your nest egg is gone. You don't want that to happen to you. So really take advantage of that. And also budget for long-term care. If you're not able and you don't purchase long-term care insurance, have a nest egg or have funds set aside so that if something were to happen, you're able to pay for those out-of-pocket expenses of long-term care, nursing home care, or stay-at-home care, or for people to come. In your early years, you had to have the 3 or 4 bedroom home to take care of the family. And now that the family has moved apart, do you really need a house that big? Maintenance costs are expensive. Taking care of a house is expensive. So consider moving to a smaller house, or really taking care of all of those things in your house that you had put off. Take care of them in your years where you're still earning prior to retirement, or take care of them right now so that later on they don't become a bigger problem. And one of the biggest things at this time is really look at, do you need all of the space? What is right for you in your situation? What size house is right for you inside your house? To consider downsizing or moving to a state that has a lower cost of living. Many people, the transition working up north and moving down south. Many people chose to move to Florida, move down to a state that's in the South that's less expensive. Northern states were more expensive. You can join that crew of people and move down south where the cost of living is more manageable and your money goes much further. Also, you can buy a home service plan, a home insurance plan, so that if anything were to happen to your house or the major components of your house, your air conditioning, your plumbing, or anything happen that is detrimental to using that house as a house, that those things wouldn't really siphon off all of your nest egg. Buy an insurance policy. Another way of mitigating for that is, just as you could save and build a fund budget for long-term care support or long-term care health, is make sure you have funds set aside for any major problem that may happen to your house, so that it's not a detriment when it happens. Financial support to family members is another hidden cost to your retirement years. We call it the sandwich generation. We're in between financially supporting the parents and financially supporting the kids. So that could siphon off any nest egg that an individual may have. So really, ways to mitigate that is to have a good conversation with family members, and set boundaries of things that you will support and things that you won't support. And also set aside funds for potential family crises for your budget. There are unexpected family debts in the family, unexpected issues that the family may have that you may have to contribute to, or you may have to all of a sudden fly to another state or fly to another country to support or take care of a family member. So put aside money, budget for those things. The psychological cost of early retirement. It's, again, budgeting for those social events that keep you engaged and not feeling like you're stepping away from society or stepping away from your friends. Budget for those events. For example, if you to go on cruises during a time that is very acceptable for their work, if they're still at work, budget for that cruise, a budget for being able to take that cruise with them. Activities or going out with a touring group. Many of your friends may stay in another state. Now that you're retired, you're in your location. So having a budget that allows you to travel on special occasions, showing up to your friend's house on their birthday, or participating in their birthday experience or their birthday celebration in their own state, unexpectedly having their friend show up. That's a way of maintaining those relationships, maintaining that connection with your friends. And in summary, I just want to say that there's always hidden costs to any decision that you make. But if you plan for them, you really look at and put action plan and act upon and really work your plan, you can mitigate some of these challenges that you may have in your early retirement. This is what I came to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed. And if I said anything that is useful to you, please like and subscribe. This is Reaching Freedom. See you next time.